So along the lines of positioning, I want to talk about two terms that are super important for you to understand. The first one is contractures. A contracture is a freezing of tissue, and it happens when your arm stays in a position too long. And the second thing I want to go over is called subluxation. Essentially, that just means the shoulder dislocating because it's hanging. So let's get into depth on both of those because you absolutely want to prevent against them. Okay, so a contracture is simply a freezing of tissue, and it happens at the joints, and it happens when you don't move the arm or the joints. So you can get a freezing at the shoulder, you can get a freezing at the elbow, the wrist, or the fingers. The way to guard against contractures is to simply move and massage the joints and the muscles in the fingers, and to make sure that you're positioning it neutrally. You don't want it to hang in. What we typically tend to find, which is a really sad situation, is when a patient or a caregiver isn't aware of what a contracture is, they allow the fingers and the wrist and the elbow to hang in. And then when I get to them, typically this wrist is stuck. Like I can't move it. Like if she was contracted right now, I wouldn't be able to move it. And you need surgical intervention to help a contracture get back to normal. So again, I'm going to show you an example, and we will get more in depth in the course, but you want to constantly be moving the fingers. You want to constantly be moving the wrist in any direction you can. You want to take that elbow and move it. You want to take that shoulder and you can move the shoulder. You can stretch it back. You can take it and raise it up. You can take it, move it forward. Never really going over above the head, but you want to constantly be moving and massaging. And we'll go over a little bit more in depth how you do that. Now let's talk about subluxation. A subluxation is simply a dislocation of the shoulder, and it happens because after a stroke, when your arm isn't moving, the tone or the tension in the muscle is lax, meaning the muscles that hold the joint for the shoulder joint together is not as supportive, and so what tends to happen is the shoulder can come out of the socket. The best way to prevent against a subluxation, because it is extremely painful, is not allowing it to hang. So when you're sitting in a chair or you're standing or doing anything, allowing that arm to hang will allow the shoulder to come out and down, and it's not good. So when you go to transfer someone, you also never want to pull on the arm. So using a gait belt, you always want to put your hands on the waist and never the arm, and then you can support the arm just by keeping your hand like this. Okay, we're going to stand up, and then you can stand up with the person. But notice what I'm not doing is this. This is a bad way to do it. If I'm taking this arm, I'm like, okay, mom, let's stand up. And I'm pulling her this way. This is how most subluxations happen, because people think that they can pull from the arm, that they have more control, when in reality, you have more control from the hips, especially for females. If I hold on to this belt and I support this arm at the same time, I have more control over this person than if I'm just pulling at the arm. There's also a sling called a Give More sling, which we will link below, that you can place on the person to always support them and the shoulder and the arm up, so you don't have to handle it while you're moving them.